Thank you. Contrary to what any other group may claim, the sub-Sahara slave trade was the worst exploitation and oppression done to one racial group by another racial group in human history. Before anyone argues on the behalf of other atrocities throughout history, let me say that accuracy of that statement is not the point. It is the fact that Afro Americans proudly teach this to each new generation and to the world. Afro Americans' thinking has become twisted into thinking that having been a conquered, enslaved peoples is somehow a moral high ground. How has this come to pass? Around the time of Booker T. Washington and the leftist-backed and leftist-thinking W.E.B. Du Bois, Afro Americans were at a crossroads. Booker T. Washington taught that blacks should get labor and artisan skills and conduct themselves such that whites would come to respect them. W.E.B. Du Bois championed that blacks should seek education and integration and abolishment of the Jim Crow laws. Both were right, and there should have been a merging of points of views into a cohesive plan for the rise of the Afro-American. Instead, as is with the case today, they refused to collaborate. Booker T. and Du Bois became bitter rivals, but in the end Du Bois, backed by leftist liberals, won the day and set the path for Afro-Americans, up until today. The positive results was the Jim Crow laws were finally defeated on a national level by the Civil Rights Bill. Afro-Americans' reverence and pursuit of higher education also increased. Usually, the ends justifies the means, but the means has morphed into Afro-Americans' third deadly sin. Protest and appealing to the moral conscience of whites was the method for the abolitionist and continued through the Jim Crow period. After the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Afro-Americans' ends and means should have changed, but didn't. Blacks continued to protest and whine, while billions and now over $1 trillion passed through their hands each year. They focused on making white-owned or publicly owned businesses to hire them in disproportional levels to make up for the gap in past injustices. This has accelerated to our current DEI and reparations demands, pushed by the woke left. Afro-Americans now find themselves in the unenviable position of going against the Civil Rights Act. Afro-Americans have been one of many tools or dupes the woke left has used to topple the American constitutional government. Afro-Americans are being set up to be the fall guys. Our slave history is not a badge of honor, it is a period of embarrassment. We will either accept that and grow or continue to drown in the cesspool of victimhood, self-pity, and entitlement.
I have been told my whole life to go to college to get ahead. Are you saying that going to college is not a good choice?
There are too many variables to answer your question directly. I can say, however, that unless you are going to learn a skill or expertise, which is highly desired in the marketplace, now and into the intermediate future, maybe no. Companies don't hire people because they went to college, they hire people who they feel can directly or indirectly earn them money. Before the woke leftist destruction of the public school system and dismantling of higher education, people who graduated college were good thinkers and problem solvers, with degrees in areas of need by the economy.
You know what I am going to ask. What do we do?
Instill in yourself and teach kids that slavery was an embarrassing period in our history. We were fortunate to have the strength to survive slavery and Jim Crow, and now is the time for them to rise. Learn skills or expertise that people are willing to pay you for. As an entrepreneur, if possible. The most important thing for us to remember, be we billionaires or dirt poor, is no individual has real status greater than the status of their ethnic group. You can be the greatest zebra that ever lived, but to the lions you are dinner, because you are a zebra. On the other side you can be a cowardly lion, but others will fear you because you are a lion. China and India have made tremendous growth over the last 30 years. China has done better than India because China concentrated on raising the standard of living of their poor. In other words, raising the status of a Chinese person. India, because of their caste system of old, has been slower in raising the status of their poor, so India is not seen as the world power that China is. Afro-America's wealthy elite can delude themselves into thinking they have risen above their ethnic identity, but they would be wrong. Under most situations, especially when their celebrity status is not known, they will be treated like any other Afro American. This is not racism. This is the law of nature. Zebras pleading to the lions, hyenas, wild dogs, leopards, etc., not to eat them because it is discrimination, unfair, or racism is a form of mental illness. We need to become buffalo, hippos, rhinos, elephants. Not rabbits, we shall hang together and grow strong or be eaten.